Yeah, we're on. Let's try and give a moment for some people to stream in if people are going to. It is early in the morning, so I don't know. Like people in my circle probably like usually don't pop up this early, but I don't know. Maybe they will be. I know that in the chat that I'm a part of, everybody is up and chatting, but that doesn't mean they're going to come onto this live. So let's
We're
see.
asking
Let me.
them.
What's
We're
that?
a lot. We're asking a lot of them to get up and start listening.
Yeah, yeah. That's that. It almost seems like that's the case. um, but yeah, let's see. We'll wait. Like I mean, because the thing said 10 o'clock. I mean, unless you want to just chat amongst ourselves.
We can chat. Yeah.
Uh,
I wanted to say thank you for this. Number one,
oh,
and
you're welcome. Yeah.
I'd really looked forward to this because my own experiences with other trans folks have been very limited, and I think probably a lot of other people that look like me also have limited experience unless they have somebody in their family. Of course,
Right.
you and I have spoken before, and I've shared stories about my daughter who is trans, but
Right.
um, you know, your kid isn't necessarily the one who's going to like tell you what's up. So
Right.
it's good to
Right.
make some other contacts. So I was, when this opportunity presented, and I was like, hey, we should collaborate sometime. I was really, really pleased. I enjoy your posts and your content, and of course, um, I go hard. I'm ride or die for trans rights, immigrant rights, women's rights, because our people need help.
I agree. I agree. So it looks like we kind of stand, the same line, and that makes things a lot easier. um, by the way, your story about your trans daughter was absolutely beautiful. When I say waterworks, it was ugly crying. It was a complete
Oh,
mess, but
oh,
it was
well,
so beautiful.
you know,
And
when I saw your response to it, my heart got really, really light and full because I know how rare trans joy is. So
right,
I
right.
gave you a moment of joy, then
Yeah.
that was a win for the day for me.
Yeah, yeah, it was really nice. It was really nice. Um, yeah, like you said, like not a super amount of trans people get that, so yeah, it's great. Um,
Well, so one of the things I was hoping to find out from you, you're out and
yeah,
very open. Um,
right.
Kudos, number one. Uh,
Thank you.
very, very brave, and again, we have it here in my house, and it's fucking scary out there right now.
It
So
is.
I
It
I
really
I,
is.
I applaud you for your honesty and your openness and just being out there. I know I saw something. I think it was on a different platform. I think it was on Facebook, and somebody was like, "Hey, Trans Awareness Day. How many trans creators do you follow? You should go and find three and go follow them and start to pay attention and pick up what they're on." And I think at that point I had already been following you, so I was like, had to go find a few more folks. But it's
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So glad
Well,
we're connected, and looking
you
forward
know,
to what your content and what you present.
if you're looking for someone who is good in content and is trans, Samantha Page, if you have not interacted with them or her, they go by both she, them.
Samantha
Um,
Page.
yeah, Samantha Page. They are very popular in trans circles. Hey, Robes, what's up? How you doing? It's good to see you. Um, Yeah, their name is Samantha Page. She, they, I think is what it'll say after.
I found I found they.
Yeah, no.
Let's see.
So she's
I'm gonna check her. I'm gonna check them out.
Yeah, I do have lives with them. I've had two lives with them, and we're going to do a third. You know, they have a very interesting backstory. Um, so I would suggest, you know, maybe talking to her and seeing if she wants to do a live, because I'm telling you, excuse me, if you want a different perspective, like a perspective other than mine, I've had a different life than she has. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It looks like she's got like a radio show, so she does I guess like a podcast or something pretty
She
regular.
does she's on a radio in Vancouver, Washington.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah,
real cool. Okay.
no, no. So we've got Robes in here, which you know, Robes is a good guy.
The
He is
background.
part.
Good morning.
Yeah, Robes is part of On the Porch with Julie Elder and Lisa Joy, which comes on every weeknight. Well, every night except for Monday, I think from 9:30 p.m. Eastern to around 10:30 or 11. And it's always a great show to catch if you're looking for something to catch at night. They come on like every day except for Monday, 9:30 Eastern. A lot of good stuff. But yeah, so let's go ahead and begin. You know, like Robes is in here. You know, I'm sure he would be interested to hear this. So let's let's
How do you want
begin.
to start? You want me to introduce myself or?
Yeah, why don't you?
So my name is Chris. I go by Chris Resists on Facebook and on Substack.
Okay,
Um, I am a dad. I'm a regular person. I'm a nobody. I am a father of four and a husband to an amazing woman that somehow puts up with me. Um, and I guess my introduction to the trans community was with my trans daughter. As she was growing up, we always had kind of a sense that maybe there was just something, I guess, different lifestyle wise with her. And one of the things that OnyxRose and I were just talking about was the story kind of her coming out. So she was going to DeKalb School for the Arts. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, and there are actually a lot of LGBTQ ally kind of students at DSA, and the staff there too is amazing. So
right,
that was a very safe, very welcoming, very warm kind of environment. And
right,
that was where my daughter started, kind of exploring, picked a different name, started going by different pronouns. And, at home, of course, we witnessed some of this just through just normal interactions and, her interacting with her friends. And, my wife and I, we were immediately like, hey, um, do we need to start using that name? Like, talk to us, tell us what's up. And, in retrospect, I imagine as a teen, an adolescent with, hormones raging through your body, and also recognizing that, nothing quite works for you the same way it does for everybody else. You don't see yourself in magazine covers and, you know, everything else. And, you've been basically granted this bill of gender role, and it just it doesn't sit right with you. And that may have been overwhelming for her. So, she had explored that, I think, with her class, with her Latin class. And it
right,
hurt a little bit as a parent that she wouldn't come to us, but again, the one thing I struggled with most was being Generation X and wanting to put labels on things, and I'm like, I need to understand this. And one of the things that my wife kind of drove home for me, and when she said it, it made perfect sense. She's like, Chris, this isn't about you.
there we go. No,
It's not about you.
never was. Never was.
And I'm like, holy shit. Okay, wow, I'm being a dick here. I'm trying to make sense of this. I'm trying to be orderly and put this all together, fit the puzzle together. And I need to just shut up and love my kid. So that's what I did. I shut up and loved my kid. And
Awesome.
and I think I brought a few happy tears to Onyx Rose's eyes when I told that story.
OMG, there was not a few happy tears. It was like waterfalls. It was like ugly cry. I mean, it was beautiful. Like I was having a bad day, like I was like
Oh,
attacked. Yeah.
that's
I was
totally
attacked by
I could have if I brought you up from a bad day or at least helped you
yeah.
through it. That's really great. Uh,
Yeah, I was
and
having a really bad day.
the rest of my story is language okay on your
Oh yeah. Oh
uh,
yeah.
fuck
Yeah,
Trump.
fire away.
Rest of
Yeah,
it.
fuck Trump. Yeah.
I
We yeah.
I yeah I'm I knew Trump was always bad news because
Yeah.
you can look at New York and even him, all the, stuff he did in Manhattan and stuff like that. Everybody knew it was
Right.
bad news. And, I didn't think Trump 1.0 was going to be horrendous. It was pretty doggone bad,
Yeah.
but
Oh, I thought it was going to
only
be bad.
scratching the
Yeah.
surface compared to what they have now, where they basically planned for it to
Right.
demolish our democracy. So I have, like, yeah, as I mentioned, I have 4 kids. I have kids, so I have dogs in this fight, and I'm dead under
Right.
fascism, and I won't stand for it. So, you see me, you meet me on the street or something like that, I will probably leave in part by saying, "Hey, and just a reminder, Donald Trump is a pedophile." I resist as much as I can.
Right.
I am a regional Antifa commander. I've
Okay.
got some lieutenant commanders and some generals that I'm friends with and I partner up with, and of course, when I say that, it's all tongue in cheek because Antifa is not an organization; it is anti.
There we go.
Anybody can be and just sign up. Just put the out there. But
you know,
that's the
I'm not,
majority of what I do on social media is just
okay.
protest and try to signal boost for protesting events. And I've been to DC 3 times now.
Oh
uh,
wow.
I
Okay.
spoke the last time I was there, which was scary as hell, but it was amazing. um,
Right.
but yeah, that's me. I'm nobody. I'm just fighting fascism as I can.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate your story. I definitely appreciate your story about learning to stay the fuck out the way and let your daughter come to you at
And
the right time when she is and was ready. That's something that I did not get the chance to do. I was
oh,
outed to Egg. Egg is my spouse, my partner, my bae, my boo, my wifey. Um, I was outed to Egg by a family therapist that neither of us had ever met.
oh,
The family therapist just came into the room. I was in rehab. Then they found out I had bipolar disorder, which I already knew, but they didn't believe me. So when they found out, I was in dual diagnosis. And so we were going to have family therapy day. And so Egg is sitting in the room. I walk in the room, and this family therapist guy comes in. He was like, "So let's talk about you being a transsexual." And
whoa! You
yes,
you would never like that. That was never a conversation topic.
never,
Oh my god!
never, ever. Now, the thing is, Egg may have had some kind of idea, but she did not really have an idea. Like, because I had been, so the idea would have been centered around, maybe I was gay or maybe I was some type of stripe, but she would never have guessed trans. That's just not something she would have guessed.
Different
Um,
lifestyle, maybe something on the in the queer line or something. But yeah, that
right.
how did that come to pass? I mean, it.
Um, in what way do you mean it? How did it come to pass? How did she
How
find out?
how did she identify that? Number one, And then how could she ethically do that as a therapist to out someone without like a pre conversation?
So I don't know how this therapist did it and why he did it. This is not something from the moment he said that, both Egg and I walked out, and we never saw that therapist again. Um, I think
Was
both
it
of us were.
like a broken trust thing and you're like,
Oh,
oh,
immediately. Yeah. I think both of us were too shocked at the moment to actually put up any type of protest other than walking out. There was just no like, what the fuck, or leading up to the higher ups. It was just like, we both had to get out of there. I was able to leave because it was PIP, which is, PIP is not overnight, where you stay in the psych ward overnight. You get to go half day. So I was there half day. I was able to leave. Egg was able to leave. And, then we didn't really talk about it. I went back into the closet. That was one of the three times I went back into the closet. So I went like, and here's how it all. So back in the 90s, I was like, and, even like late 80s, early 90s, like right around graduation time for me. I graduated in 1991. So, that's when I was like, okay, there is something definitely different about me. I could feel it when I was younger, but there was, like it was kind of further from my mind. But then the older I got, the more it was like, okay, I feel like I should be this woman and I should be in love with women. I should be a lesbian, you know, I should be a woman who loves women. And that was the only solid and concrete thing in my mind. I couldn't figure out anything else. So I looked up male lesbians. I looked up, I was looking up everything and grasping for anything. I saw the L word and I was like, okay, things were, I was trying to, um,
that
I
was
know that
discovery, maybe even you were just trying to like figure things out.
I was trying to figure things out. I think I saw Jerry Springer and I was like, those are trans people, but those are not the kind of trans people I would consider. I wasn't at that point, I wasn't thinking that that was something I could ever be or like would want to be, just because it was so outlandish. And it was TV, so they made them look outlandish. But, as time went on, and it's kind of funny because in 2006 I found a book, and it's called True Selves, um, and it's this book right here, True Selves. um, it is written by Mildred Brown and Chloe Ann Rounsley. um, I found this book in 2006. I think it came out in the late 80s. This book it says Understanding Transsexualism for Families, Friends, Coworkers, and Helping Professionals. Now, transsexualism is, old school word, but when I came out, it was transsexual. But this book is something that legitimized my feelings. I was not able to solidify them until I read this book, until I found this book. And this is not the same book. This is like a newer version. The one I found is like long gone. But so this book was instrumental in me saying, okay, I have a word, a frame of reference for what I am, or what I could be. So in and out of the closet I went. I finally came out of the closet for good in 2015, and that's how I've been going ever since. Thank you.
That's so I have I have a couple of questions, and I'm
Okay.
curious because I know I don't know if you share with everyone like where you live. I know there's a safety thing there. Is that
No, I do. I mean, I share that I live in Atlanta. Yeah.
okay? Okay, so yeah, so I'm in Atlanta as well, and
Yeah.
one of the things I know about Atlanta is that there is a pretty vigorous Black LGBTQ community. So I would
Yes.
ask if that was something that you had taken part in, or if that was something that laid some of the groundwork for you, or maybe if you had some thoughts about that community and how it's good, how it's bad.
So it's kind of funny that you say that, and the answer is no. I have had no in real life reactions with the queer community, with the exception of one thing. In 2017, 18, and 19, I went to a support group where I know people in here know you. Do you know Wendy the Druid? I did meet Wendy the Druid at that time.
Okay,
Yeah, and so it was at that time that and this group had a mixed, different ethnicities, so on and so forth. So, but in terms of going to all black events, no, or all white events, no, because you got to remember how this plays into it is I have a white spouse. So
I didn't know,
you know.
but okay, yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so egg is white.
okay.
So, like, it's like and I don't drive, so it would have to be, like, her taking me to the event and then waiting and picking me back up, or, then, like, just by the same standard going to like an all white event pretty much, or any event, because it's usually all white, then I stick out like a sore thumb. And while that's okay, I mean, it's still kind of an issue. Basically, we're homebodies. We don't go out, and that's not because of anything except for the fact that neither of us likes going out.
I mean, if you're comfortable, that's where.
Yeah.
Yeah,
uh,
I asked that because I know there have been a number of times when I've been out and I'm like, what is going on here? Like especially stuff in the summer, stuff will start up. There's Pride Week, I think that happens, and Dragon Con,
Ooh,
and I run
drag.
and I'm like, what is going on? And you just see like all these black twinks like all over the place. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So I didn't actually know, but then I learned that we do have this amazing community here. So, um,
Well, so Dragon Con weekend is Labor Day, always. Labor Day weekend is Dragon Con. In addition, every Labor Day is Black Pride. So that's why
that's
you
why
have,
that's why those always coincide. Well, that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. So Black Pride is in Labor Day, which is September. Yeah, Labor Day,
Yeah,
September.
yeah.
August, September, and then Pride in Atlanta is in October. Um,
Okay, that makes sense now. Okay.
right now, the like little prides in the metro may be in June. Like Smyrna Pride is in June. And we will go to Smyrna Pride. We've been to Smyrna Pride twice, and it's been a blast. It's like a lot more low key. It's more family oriented. I don't have kids, but my bestie does, and we're like this is my chosen family. So
Yeah,
we do things, and you know. Our girl, I say our girls, our girls,
yeah.
um, you
There,
know,
it takes a village, so they're
yeah,
absolutely yours. Yeah, no, I
yeah.
get that.
But they have a blast. They get to run around with all the queer kids. And the queer kids represent, like, you see kids wearing like lesbian flags, sunset flags, and these are like young kids. Not like and nobody is harassing them. There's nobody preaching on the sidelines. These are just kids having a great time.
That gives me hope.
Yeah.
Seen a lot from the young people recently, and it is. I guess I don't know. I'm where I am in Atlanta is kind of an old warden of racist redneck people, which of course I didn't know when we came here, but
Right.
I'm real close to where Stone Mountain is. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the old Confederate bastion over here, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. I it's I guess in all my years, I can look back now on my life and see when I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s how much racism was threaded into the environment, and
Yes.
I could say that I wasn't being racist. However, I was behaving as a a creature molded in a racist environment, which, of course, anytime you think about that for too long, you're like, what was I doing? What have I done? And all you can ever do is just improve and, do better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there are
Work to
plenty
be
that I know that, I don't think I was probably most ashamed of how I treated some people in the queer community more than anything else. I don't think I was ever, I don't think I ever looked at anybody sideways because of, their skin color or anything like that. But, and again, I look at like, I'm like, why the hell was I picking on Michael at UGA? And it's like, because everybody did. That's just what everybody
right.
did, and I didn't know any better, and I didn't have like a basis for any of that. But I think anyone who can look back or see those tenets or those threads woven through their environment, the best that you can do is identify them, see them, call them out, have a conversation. Let's be real, let's be open, and if you made mistakes, voice those mistakes. If you need to go and make reparations, and maybe you hurt someone, go and repair that, with that person, and then do better going forward. I think that's
So
all
it's
anybody can ever ask of anybody.
I think it's interesting you say that. Yeah, and I agree 100%. I think it's interesting that you said that you've made mistakes in the past and that you've moved forward. You've kind of worked through them. You've made reparations. And I've made these same mistakes, especially when it's come to the queer community. When I was younger, it was always "f this," and not like "fuck," but like the F slur, and
Well,
like we.
yeah, no, that I hate to say it, but I learned more about that in my 40s, which sucks that it took me
Right,
till my 40s to learn about that. But
right,
that is, the origin of that is just horrendous. And it was actually my trans daughter that told me about that. And I'm like, I think I'm going to be sick. And she's like, you kind of should be. And I'm like,
right,
yeah, I absolutely have to change. And I absolutely cannot accept this kind of language from anyone else. Or,
right.
I have to educate them on it as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, and honestly, there are words that we just don't say, and in the now people have reclaimed them.
Yeah. I
And
actually, as soon as you said that, I was like, well, and I had because I've seen my daughter also do that. So, um,
uh,
in in a
so
in a mocking kind of a, this is my word, I'm going to take it kind of ownership.
yeah. Well,
It, you're exercising your authority, I guess. I don't know.
it's like black people using the N word. So T like trans people use the T slur. Gay people use the F slur. Like lesbians. Sometimes people would use like I don't know. I won't see it like the D slur. I guess dyke is not bad, but I don't
No,
know.
I
Uh,
I totally follow you on that, and those are that's all language that I don't feel I have a gateway to. There's no purpose for me to use any of that because
right.
if
I
I
agree with that 100.
yeah, so like if I've got if a lesbian friend, and if I use that word playfully, joking, whatever with her, she's always going to think, wait a minute, is this guy threatening? and
Right.
there's no need. There's just
Right.
there's no cause. There's no common
Right.
cause. Now, people who, that word would, either, slander or describe, if they're using it among, friends or whatever that are also described by that, I think it's different because they've lived that pain, or they're in that sheath of I don't know. For
Well,
me,
I
it's
agree.
pretty simple because I have all the privilege, so I have to pay attention, and
Yeah.
I have to not use language that upsets people because um, there have been so many offenses, and of course, I haven't necessarily committed those offenses, but it's
Right.
important that I know and have an awareness of all the hurt that has been perpetrated on so many freaking people. So,
Right. 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 Um, yeah. Mm, what let me look in the comments here. I
yeah,
never hear black people use the hard R though. That's because black people don't use the hard R. Black people never use the hard R. Unless they're making fun of people who do. you know,
funny story about that. I didn't know about the hard R because
uh,
I had kind of written the word off entirely. I just
right.
said don't use it.
No.
And I actually had to go and look back, and it's like there was an evolution of where it was offensive, and then, you know it was
Reclamation.
there was a reclaiming. Yep, exactly. The
Right.
reclamation happened, and then there was, especially with a lot of the pop culture and R&B, rap, and a
Yeah.
lot of musicians were, then throwing it around all the time, and it was still in that reclamation. It was like, this is us, this is our culture, we're taking it back.
Right.
And, you know big tall white cis boys like me were just like, tread carefully. Let's go to
Right. Yeah, as you
elevator
should be.
music, so that
Um,
we don't want to step on it. But yeah, no, I didn't know that there was a, like, the hard R was a thing until I had to go back and I had to look, and I'd say, okay, so, some
y-
things are okay, some things aren't, but it's still easier for me, right? Because
yeah.
I try to be a kind, compassionate, respectful person. And to me, language like that is derogatory, I don't need it. I don't need it.
Right.
If
So here's the thing: white people should never say the N word, regardless. You can grow up in the hood.
I agree.
You can grow up around a lot of black people. That doesn't give you any kind of pass. You
Yeah,
know, like I don't care how many black people say you get a pass. Like you can't say that shit. Now that being said, I don't say any of it. I don't say the T slur. I don't say N word. Me and my family, we've never done that. Me and my chosen family, we don't do that. It's just not something that we use. Now we will call each other bitches and shit like that. But and that's like snap, snap, snap. We don't, we're not, we're not, I,
that's
of
fine.
course, because I am the only trans person in my chosen family. But Egg is queer, so me and her get down like that. But my bestie is like cis hetero, and like she's like the thought of even kissing a girl makes me gag, and I was like, okay, that's an extreme reaction, but okay. So I don't know, like just from my point of view, like I have never been on that side of the spectrum to the point, and it's not even a spectrum, it's like a big circle that's squiggly lines and multiple dimensions. But yeah, I can't imagine anyone who's so cis hetero that they have never considered anything other than that. it's shocking to me.
That's so funny that you. So that's a thought that I've had, that I've shared with people in the gay and queer community before. Somebody said at one point, it's like, well, everybody's at least a little bit gay.
Yeah, I would say like on the kid, like like you can't. I don't know. It like I said,
It's a
it's hard
bell
for me.
curve. I think it's a bell curve. If you look at a
Yeah,
bell curve, like there are people that are like, oh, yeah, he's hot, and I'm a dude, and I can say that because I mean, look at him. He's Ryan Reynolds. Like, but
right.
but that's not me though, because I'm that like 99 line where it's
Oh
like,
wow.
like,
Okay.
and I can. I've gotten a lot more comfortable, especially as I've learned more about other people. But it's dudes would never do it for me. Like, again, like even with Ryan Reynolds, like I'd want to be his friend, maybe.
So
'Cause
let me
he,
ask you
like,
this:
sometimes,
aesthetic wise,
well, really,
is
it's
there
hang out, like play poker, or just like watch like hang out with a friend kind of thing. But yeah, no, I my needle just doesn't go that way.
okay?
uh,
Well,
but
that you
but
are
some
another one of the few
people,
that I've met.
some people are more like more gray area, where they could go
Right.
one way or the other. And I think it's interesting. There was I'm gonna have to find it now. There was a post, I think, that went around on social media where it was like, "Hi, biologist here," and the biologist like goes through and explains like
Yes.
the XY,
XXY,
all the
XX.
different
Yeah.
chromosomal like
Right.
opportunities, and
Right.
how people can present, how your own body can work against you while you're and prevent the uptake of hormones, not actually exert the hormones. Like there's this, just it's a and the whole it's beautiful because it ends with biology really is a shit show, and it is. It's a
Right.
at the end of it. And if you really unpack that and work backward, and you think about how survival and beings and organisms, it's like, when you're trying to survive, you want as many different hands as possible, right? You want as many different options on the table, because you know that not everybody's going to make it necessarily. So
Right.
that's what biology is doing, right? It's just like, let's put in XXY, why not, let's see what happens. It's all
Well,
kind of trial and error with respect to biology, just trying to make sure that there is something that moves forward.
I think the beautiful thing about all of this is that biology is not binary. And so people who look at biology and say, well, biology says this. Well, no, biology actually says this, and this, and then some
Yeah,
extra. So the people who point out that, well, biology this, biology that, don't really have any idea other than like a cursory, like, I don't know, sixth grade level biology or whatever, ninth grade. But it is very interesting being a trans person, and being visibly trans. To me, this is so.
is that scary at all for you?
Not yet. Not yet. It's like, but see, I feel it closing in on me, and that's
Oh
the
god.
problem. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel everything closing in, and I'm trying not to let it get to me. Um, but it feels like it's getting just a little bit tighter. But one of the good things about me being out visibly is that other people can see, and then other people understand, and then other people will do the transition if they want to. Will transition if they want to. My mother-in-law. My mother-in-law's son is a trans guy, and he transitioned because he met me and he was like, okay, I can do this. And it's, I've heard this multiple times, and this is why I'm visible. So for not for heterosexual people, that is not why I do this. I do this for queer people, and specifically trans people, and specifically trans women, and specifically trans Black women, who may not see a trans Black woman or a trans Black non-binary person, living this life, wearing these short dresses, walking around kind of femme, with a deep voice. People just don't see that, and this is me being out and visible, and I love that.
I love that you're out and visible. I know at the top of the show, I actually commended you for that. There are so many facets of positivity for you to be able to live your truth, and just like you said, to be an example for others. Um, you know, one thing I don't know if people think about this very often, but as primates, our method is mimicry. We do a lot of mimicry when we learn, when we teach, when we instruct. We demonstrate, and then we ask to have that replicated. And you're totally right. If I'm growing up and if I'm a kid and like I don't, I look at what's in my pants, but then if you don't see yourself in other people, I think it has to make it challenging to find your way. And
Well,
I can't identify with that at all because here I am. I've grown up and like I can look at the president. It's like, oh, look, it's a big, tall white man. Another big, tall, cis white man. Like I've never had that challenge, but I can, I can kind of empathize with folks who, they don't feel, they've found themselves completely. And part of that journey is seeing someone else to kind of reflect back to them and say, oh, OnyxRose, there I am. I see myself in you, and then they can start to find their foundation and build themselves the way they were genetically cast.
one of the things I'd like to say, and so thank you, first of all, for telling the story of your trans daughter and how everything worked out. I don't know if everybody in the chat heard it, so I don't know if you want to go ahead and,
Oh,
uh,
I can,
yeah, just run through it again.
and yeah. So, my daughter, uh, going to school, found a classroom, a group of students that were, very, very safe, very open. Many were, queer friendly. And in that space, like the entire class, they basically picked new names for themselves and they referred to themselves with those new names in the classroom. And they also, played with using different pronouns. And being a parent's hard. Any parents out there, you're doing your best, and you're doing great. You're going to make it. You're going to, but you just love your kid. That's all you got to do.
There
Um,
we
Witnessing this with her, you know, I was. I'm always the anxious go getter. So I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. I was like, new pronouns. What are we doing? And like I shared before, I think that, me coming and saying, oh, do I need to use this new name? Oh, do I need to use these different pronouns? It was a lot of sensory overload while
go. Yes.
my daughter was still trying to figure out what was comfortable. So, I shared and there's a note. Maybe I'll go back and pull that note at some point, Onyx, and I'll actually write up a full article on it because I mean, it really is a beautiful story. But
Yeah.
for me as a parent, it hurt. It hurt that my kid didn't want to come to me and was
Right.
comfortable, sharing all this stuff. And you look back on it, and it's like, yeah, I'm wounded a little bit, but it's not about me. That's one of the things. But at the same time, when I think when my daughter was exploring this stuff, um, she wanted to explore it in a way that would be safe. And I think somebody else actually told me, it's like, well, if you share that with your parents, then it has to become permanent. Like you're etching it into stone because you
Right.
carve that out with your parents. So, and just through all of it, and we asked, it's like, hey, do you want us to use the new name? You want us to use dead name? And we weren't saying dead name at the time, but at the time it was like, hey, just chill, just I'm still the kid you always raised or whatever, and
Right.
we went through that, and I sat back and I'm like, why can't I use the new name? Like
Right.
I was just like, what? I want to be a part of that, and it's
Right. Definitely, you want to be a part of your child's growth. Yeah.
through all of this. All that is to say is that eventually she did come to us, and we did talk it through, and
Right.
she said, this is the name I've been using. These are the pronouns I've been using, and since then we've had more open discussions, and I think as parent and kid, like you know our relationship, and this is true with any parent and any children, your relationship is constantly evolving, but I think through all of that our relationship got a lot closer, a lot better. And
Uh,
what we
yeah.
demonstrated to her was that, hey, whatever it is, whatever you're scared about, we don't care. Like you can do the worst thing and we're still going to show up for you because that's what we do. I mean,
That's nice.
I don't know any different really, and it sucks that there are so many out there who don't have that kind of parent umbrella, right? I know
Right.
that my kids have it pretty decent because I'm a dad that gives a shit, and I grew up as a an only child to a single mom, and that was one of the things that I was just like, well, I've never had a father figure in my life. So I have to make sure that like I don't perpetrate that again. I have to
Right.
fix that cycle, and it doesn't necessarily always, it doesn't have to always be a mom and a dad, right? It could
Right.
be moms, it could be two dads, and really for myself and my wife, we are teammates.
Oh yeah.
There's some things I do really well. There's some things that I am shit at. I am shit at
Yeah.
keeping a calendar. That's
Yeah.
why I can't keep track of when Pride is versus Gay Pride, and like I don't know those things. And like the stuff
Right.
comes around, and it's like, hey, it's February, it's Black History Month again, and I'm like, do what? And I lock in, but I don't have that on like on the back burner of my mind where I have like the calendar. That's, I guess, if there's a neurodivergence fault, that's my fault. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's we're teammates. So where hopefully where I lack, my wife is stronger, and between the two of us, we make a good team. And I frankly, it could be a woman and a woman doing the
Right. Oh,
same
of
thing,
course.
right?
Of
Or a
course.
and a man. I don't see any harm in that ever, so long as there is openness, there is education, there is discussion. It's like, well, hey, dad, why do I have two dads? And my friend Lily has two moms. Well, you see, here's, families can be all different kinds. And then,
You know,
discuss it with a kid.
here's the thing. I do think that's definitely needed. I also think in heterosexual families they need to learn about queer families.
Yeah, no, it
You know,
absolutely is. Yeah. It's so,
because that's not something that is taught a lot. I when I grew up, I didn't know anything about like Mike and Steve. No, I didn't know anything about Laura and Jill, or thruples, or polycules. I didn't know any of this stuff. All I knew was mom and dad, woman and man. Um, you know, but I think as we grow up, if we're in families and we have kids, I think that, and it's a heterosexual family, that a cis heterosexual family that does not have any queer kids, I think they still need to be taught queer history
They need to,
as well.
yes, they need to expand that knowledge. I
Right,
mean, I wouldn't say you have to go and find like a queer family and adopt them, but I think that that would help.
right, right.
So, as a parent, I, you know, I only wanted one kid when my wife and I first got married. And then we talked about it like, well, we want two kids. And she wanted two kids. And she talked me up to two. And
Okay.
and in that, I was like, it would be great if we could have a boy and a girl. So we could get like the best of both worlds, which is, hear me out, folks. This was years back. That's a very, very threateningly binary kind of statement I just made. But
Yes, it
at
is.
the time, again, with the, you know, I guess with the depth and the knowledge, whatever I was thinking of, I was very limited. That was my old self, right? And you know, so we had two boys at the time. That was, you know, a boy and of course my trans daughter now, but at the time, two boys. And then you know, we loved our kids so much that we were just we want to do more, right? We had so much joy and love, and we had the means, and we're like, let's add to our family. So we had another boy, and then, you know, the last kid that we had was our princess, our little girl. And I was just like, oh, like we're complete now. I get to see both sides of it. But where I am truly, truly, truly blessed is that I have a son who is very, very similar to me in the hetero cis, like in that 99% on the bell curve. Like he and I, like what gets us going and what stops us is same, right? So I can model that for him, and you know, I learn about myself and seeing him. And then, you know, I have a trans daughter, which this has just been such a blessing because I don't
Yes.
have to go out to find that information. That information is here in my house. That lifestyle, that culture, the difference there, I have it right here. Like I have literally no excuses to not know things. Um, but you know, never let, you know, something that your privilege blind you or stop you from going and seeking information out. But I'm
There
so
we go.
blessed to have that as a part of my family. And
Right.
then there's, you know, a boy, and then our daughter, our youngest, she is the girliest girl. She loves dresses and bows and
Hey,
long
Casey.
hair, and she's amazing. They're all my kids are amazing. So it is a cornucopia, and something in a thread that I think you were starting to pull on. We do better as understanding, compassionate people when we learn about more than ourselves, or we learn that, you know, people are different than us.
Right.
Um, One of the things that I know has been talked about a lot recently too is like travel, go abroad, go
Yeah.
to their country, get that culture shock. And I
Oh,
had I had my own thought about culture shock recently. The first couple of times I went to another country, it was astounding. I was like, whoa, like things are really different here. But that difference, that culture shock, the next time you have it in another place or in a different place, it's a little bit less because
yeah.
you see, like, hey, these people are just like me. They
Right.
bleed, they have feelings, they love one another, and they do things a lot differently. And I see that, and now I can be okay with people doing things differently this way. Go somewhere
Right.
else. I've been to, I've had my early job, I got to travel a lot. I got to go to Paris, France. I went to Stuttgart, Germany. I went to Melbourne,
Nice. Girlfriend
Australia.
is from Stuttgart.
Would you have? Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, she's from a little village like down south from Stuttgart. So,
Okay. Germany is so cool. But
so
just,
I've been to Germany too. It's actually beautiful. Like when I went to Germany in the late 90s, it was stunning. I stayed in a castle in Heidelberg and,
wow.
all this fun stuff. Yeah.
I went to Stuttgart. It was for a tennis tournament, and
Okay.
drive from Stuttgart to Munich. So I got to
Okay.
drive on the Autobahn,
Oh
which was
wow, how was
wild
that?
because you're sitting there and you're like, I'm going really fast. Like I'm going 180 kilometers per hour, which you dial it back, do the math. It's like I'm driving 110, like 150.
Yeah, like nah, I don't think I could do that. I
And
just
you're sitting
don't
there
think
and you're going, and then all of a sudden, like you look in your rear view, and somebody like is like
right, right.
flying up behind you. So you get out of the way. They're going
Yeah,
like 150 miles per hour, like upwards like 220, 240, and people just hauling. But
that
no, Germany it snowed when I was there.
okay.
It was really cool. But no, I mean, seeing people living different ways and operating in different ways and
Hey
having
Brandon.
different foods and different ways of expressing themselves that's how we grow, man. That's how we learn. That's how we
So one of the things is like, so I did do a European vacation when I was younger. I went to the Netherlands, of course, of course. But I also had a friend who lived in Utrecht, so I stayed there as well. And went to Belgium and Luxembourg, um, Germany, and France. So in France, I had like the strangest experience because I was in Orléans and, they didn't speak a lot of English there. And so I was speaking French and my French wasn't 100, but it was pretty good. So I was getting by no problem. But then, this guy wanted to hook up. And so I was like,
oh
cool. Yeah, I was getting down, and then he like punches me in the face and runs away, and I was like, okay, so I'm in this strange
oh
city, I'm discombobulated. I just got punched in the face. I have
assaulted
no idea. Huh?
assaulted that's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah. So, well, one thing I realized is that when I'm in a different country and in a different city, I need to be a little bit more careful. And that was one of the things that, really cemented that home is that I have to be more careful. I can't just be my normal self that I would be in the United States,
Yeah.
where I feel comfortable. Now that being said, now the United States is a shithole right now, so I don't know how comfortable I feel right now. But back then, the
Amen.
the yeah, back then the traps of like safety were there. Now there's just no traps. It's gone now.
Yeah, no, I think you're totally right. When you're home, you can operate, but then when you're abroad, you can't operate, right? You have to like take a more reserved approach and observe and see how everyone else is doing.
Right. You kind of have to read the room. And so I've read this, I just was not ready. I thought this guy was a nice guy. And, we had gone to dinner and, things were leading down the road. And yeah. So,
That sucks.
but, to your point though, like I saw a lot of stuff in Amsterdam. My friend is Dutch, and so he was taking me around the part of the red light district that the tourists don't really go to.
Oh,
Uh,
this is for locals only. Ooh.
Yes, yes. So that was pretty interesting too. Like I love the CD. I went to a sex show where they're just having sex in front of everybody, and I mean, it was fine. Like it was interesting. I don't know that I could do that, but it was interesting. All that to say, like I just had an interesting time in Europe. It was
I got to go to Amsterdam, but I didn't actually leave the airport. So,
ah,
yeah,
okay.
I
Okay.
didn't actually get to explore that, unfortunately. But
So
yes,
that's what happened with me in Paris. Like I got onto the Gare du Nord, the train,
okay.
and I stepped off and was in the train station, but I didn't go into Paris proper because I didn't leave the train station. I just went,
Onyx, go back to Paris if you can.
oh yeah, oh
And
yeah.
go to Paris and it's crazy because I was kind of there by myself. I had one of my work colleagues was French, and it's crazy because everybody at work, and it was an American company, but we had this one guy who was French, so we all called him the Frog, French Frog.
Okay. That's
He would always joke. He's
my
like,
nickname.
"So we
Yeah.
have the French breakfast, is coffee and cigarettes, and
Yes,
he was
Galois.
a character." But he kind of left me on my own and didn't show me around. So I would go out and walk, and it's Paris is so beautiful. It's so great.
Yes,
If
yes.
you're watching this stream, go find the world. Go see the world. Get
Yes. Everybody go
what
travel.
has
Go
been,
travel.
but try to find something that's different or culturally just uncomfortable and expand
Well,
your horizons because it's amazing. And
here's the thing.
that's
You
one
don't
thing
need
we did with our kids. We made sure that we took our kids to some of these places to expose them to it because I think that's the most important part, right? You
I
want
think so. I
you
think
want your
so.
kids to be enlightened and understand that people are different and all that. So we've
Right.
been very fortunate that we have had the means to do that.
Right. Well, but it doesn't even have to mean going outside the United States. From one coast to the other, it's such different worlds.
Yeah,
Different living, from the Midwest to the Southeast. The
you're totally right.
Northeast. So like I haven't been to the Pacific Northwest since I was little, so I don't really remember anything about it. I've always wanted to go,
Yeah,
and I still do. I have never really wanted to go to California, and I don't know, maybe it's like an East West type thing. I rep the East Coast, A Town down. But like California's never interested me. But like the Northeast has interested me. But I like Atlanta because I like our seasons, meaning to say that we have like winter and like it's one
well,
week.
we used to. When you and I were growing up, we used to. We could have
Oh yeah, do you remember the like ice storm of night? It was at 96 or 98. There was an ice storm that like pretty much shut down everything. It
growing up.
wasn't
I remember Snow Jam '82. My mom had me
okay.
in a car, and we were stuck like on a hill in a neighborhood, and it was hilarious. It was
Yeah,
Yeah, no, you said it. The one beautiful thing, I have to say maybe 10 years ago because I think the climate has changed substantially in the last 10 years. But in Atlanta, Georgia, we would get like real, no lie, like every season. Our summer was hot. Our summer was hot. But then we would have fall, and the fall would be beautiful and cool, and then winter. Wouldn't snow every year, but it snowed most years. We would get like
yep,
a little dusting, and then come
yeah.
around the spring, and you have this mild spring, and everything's in bloom. I mean, shit. Now it's spring here in Atlanta, and it's like 90, 95. Like
Yeah, but so for anybody out in the chat, y'all need to come to Atlanta in the spring. I am not even joking. There's a reason we're called the city in the forest. In the spring in Atlanta, when everything blooms, it is absolutely beautiful. It's stunning to me. Like I can't get over it. Like Indigo Girls made a song called Southland in the Springtime. And I understand what they're talking about, like what Emily is talking about when she sings that song, because to me, there's nothing more beautiful than like Atlanta in the springtime.
and our
Nothing.
calling count is 3,000, and the
Well, well, so the pollen is not the beautiful part. I feel like a lemon pepper chicken wing, like I'm seasoned.
we're in a bit of a drought right now, and it's like a mash. It's like a yellow dirt
Right,
mash right now.
right. It is
Everybody's
all over the place.
it's everywhere.
Yeah,
We need to flush it.
yeah. We need a rain. Yeah, we need a good rain. I don't know if one's coming anytime soon, but we need one.
But yeah,
But
and I
yeah,
highly recommend it. We have an amazing music scene. Um, it's
yes,
mostly
we do.
mostly like blue and accepting of all types. And
Yeah.
hey,
So Atlanta is definitely blue, y'all.
it is.
Um,
Here's the thing. So when I last went to DC, I actually drove. I was going to fly, but that
right,
was when ICE was running rampant through the airports, and
right.
I got scared. And I'll be real, I'm scared all the time. I keep track of stuff on dials. It's just how I do. Like my
Right.
anger is at an 11 of 10 right now. It's been an
Okay.
11 of 10 since JD Vance and Trump ambushed Zelensky in the Oval Office.
Right.
It's stayed pegged since then. Of course, I mitigate that anger all the time, by trying to be active and do activist kind of things. But my fear dial maybe right now is only like a 7, but it's scary. It's just it's really scary with what's happening in the world. And I was going to go to the airport and was going to travel, and my fear dial was 11 of 10, and I'm like, I'm just going to go, and if an ICE agent gets in my face, I'm going to say, "Hey, Dick Breath, what's up?" And I I can't not be me. I have
Right.
to be loud.
Right.
And if they were going to harass someone, my heart would not stop me from getting involved. And even if my wife would, make me promise to not get involved, like that's not a promise that my heart could keep. And we're just leading up to that. It's just like, maybe you should drive. And I'm like, yeah, I should drive because I could avoid
Yeah.
it altogether. And then, leaving Atlanta and just going to Commerce. And Commerce is only about 30, maybe 45 minutes, an hour north of me. And
Right.
I had to stop at a gas station. And it's just like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
Yeah.
These like redneck honkies are awful. And they're
So
like the worst kind. And that you we're talking about culture shocks. There was
yeah.
another culture shock, and I only had to drive an hour to actually witness it.
I don't
But
think people understand about Georgia. Like there is Atlanta and then there's Georgia, and
yeah,
that's
we're almost like two different states: the state of
right.
Atlanta, and then the state of everything that Brian Kemp runs, and it's
Right.
shitty.
Basically. Yeah. Uh-huh. So when we talk about Atlanta, it's blue blue. Like Atlanta is the place where, it's like weed is decriminalized. So you can have up to an ounce on you and a cop is not going to do shit. Because like if you go into Atlanta, it smells like weed. We were at like a Diem. I don't know if you know where a Diem is. And in like Midtown,
Is that
a
a
Prey.
raid or what is that? I don't know.
It's a restaurant.
Oh,
Yeah. It's
oh, okay. No, I'm not
um
familiar with it.
okay. So we were there and we were celebrating my sister's birthday and Easter, and all I'm doing is smelling weed. And I'm like, okay, that's something that's singing to my heart. And so I'm just sitting there like head up, head up. My mom is like, what are you smelling? And I'm like, what do you think I'm smelling? Shit.
I'm trying to get my contact, man. Leave me alone.
Right. Yeah. I'm always the one who's like, let's walk around the block before we eat, wink, wink, wink. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah. So I drive around for work, and yeah, you'll drive, and you'd be like, oh, and then you'd be like, oh, like there's the first level of like, yeah, they're just doing something, versus like that's all they've been doing all day long, and it's just like wafting out of their car.
right,
Woo!
right, right. Yeah.
There is
Um,
a fair bit of that these days, and I didn't know that it was actually legal in Atlanta. I didn't. I
So
knew
it's
that medicinal, I think, was, and we also had a lot of what, Delta 8, I guess.
Yeah, the Delta 8. So the Delta 8 is crap. It can be like there are people who can feel the effects of Delta 8. Like, and as far as medicinal goes, it's like you can only have 0.3% of marijuana THC oil. Um,
Mm.
but they've actually decriminalized up to an ounce in Atlanta. So if they pull you over, the most they're going to do is give you a ticket. They may take away your weed, but they're going to give you a ticket.
Unless
Like
if
if you,
they want to smoke it.
yeah, if you have over an ounce, that might be a problem. And where I live, if I had an ounce, I would be in jail for 10 years. So,
Ugh, yeah.
well,
Um, I mean, I'm glad that as a nation we're kind of coming around to a more liberty
seriously.
approach to that stuff because
Well, I can't believe that you would put cocaine on the same level as marijuana. That shit just blows my mind.
yeah, no, I
I,
don't.
so let me say, I'm an addict, and I've done all of the drugs in the world.
Oh, it's
Aside from the New York
taboo.
drugs.
If it's not okay, then just shut me
Oh,
up.
no, no, no. Go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah.
Well,
What
yeah.
you
Well,
want to know?
tell us about that, or if you're.
Oh, okay. So yeah, no, no, no. I'm an addict. I did every drug, heroin, cocaine, crack, Tina, which is crystal meth, um, rolls, ecstasy, so ketamine, Special K. I did it all: speedballing, LSD, mushrooms, microdots. Yeah, everything I could get my hands on, I was doing. And what finally came out of that is that, yes, I was using all these drugs originally to kind of regulate my system, you know, and then it just spun out of control, as most addicts will tell you. We are not using drugs just to use drugs. Like, it may be like someone who starts using drugs just to party, but underneath that all is something. Whether it's a mental disorder or something else,
Pain,
some yeah,
damage.
some type of pain. Yeah. And so mine just happened to be a mental disorder, and pain. Gender dysphoria. So gender dysphoria, I had Crohn's disease, and I also had bipolar dysphoria, ADHD, generalized anxiety disorder, panic attacks, on and on and on and on. So all of this stuff was popping off at once. And so I was using all these drugs, but then I just got addicted. And like, it was hardcore. Like, I was doing crazy shit, like shit that I'm not proud of, like going to clubs by myself, and just shit that you do when you're doing drugs, drug shit. So,
So does
um,
alcohol figure into any of your addiction as well? I'm
is
curious.
what?
Al-
Alcohol? No, no,
okay.
never. No, I don't drink. But no, it never did. I did drink at some point, but no, it never did. It's kind of funny. No, my drug of choice was cocaine. No, and that's what I used the most. The me and Egg were married in Vegas, Las Vegas. And before we walked down the aisle, I did two big bumps of cocaine.
Oh,
Um, she didn't know it. I brought this was back before TSA, this was back before TSA. So they didn't make you take off your shoes. And so
9/11.
I bought an 8 ball of Coke in my shoes from Atlanta to Las Vegas. My friends brought two more, a bunch of ecstasy. I mean, we were throwing down. Like, Egg didn't even know it. So, like, we were all fucked up. But this is my past life, and this is not stuff I would ever do now. And this is kind of stuff that I'm not proud of. It's great stories. It like, it like the masses are like, ooh, this is great. But when I think about it, like all the hurt and pain I caused, it's not really all that great. and it never will be. So, I have to continually um, check myself.
So you're sober now?
California sober. I
California
smoke weed.
sober. Oh, okay. So I know the term California sober. How long?
Since 2012.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's really really great. So
Thank you. Yeah.
as someone who knows others who have been in that struggle, I know
Right.
the struggle is real. Uh,
Right.
keep on keeping on. You're doing great stuff, and
Thank you.
yeah. You don't drink though. You don't do alcohol really. Just not your
I don't drink at all. No. Yeah,
no.
so one day I was having a beer and I was like, it was a Heineken. And I was like, you know what? This is just bloating me and it doesn't taste good. And then I started thinking about all the other beers I had. And I was like, IPAs suck. I don't like British beer. I don't like German beer, because my
You're killing me, Onyx. You're killing me.
my
This
my
is a lot
German
of
ex
blood here.
so my German ex-girlfriend was like, "Why are you drinking Warsteiner?" And I was like, "Why are you drinking Bud Light?" It's like because Warsteiner is like piss over there, but Bud
Wagner
Light,
is that
yeah,
marketed? Yeah, no, it's totally Budweiser. Yeah, it's totally
yeah,
Foster's. That's
yeah.
gosh.
So, you know, so yeah, but and then the same thing with liquor is that I just don't like the taste of it. Like liquor gets me drunk, but I just don't like the taste of it. And so I used to smoke cigarettes, and I started smoking cigarettes at 16. And one day at 42, no, 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 42, 43. 39, I just said, you know what? I'm going to stop. And I threw away the pack that I had and have not smoked since. Um,
Does your that you smoked cigarettes, nicotine, is there a connection at all, you think, with your other addictions that you've had, and now that you're so like, do they transverse or not at all? There's
well, so a lot of the people I know who had addictions did smoke. A lot of people in my circles at that time did smoke cigarettes. Yeah, I don't know how many still do because I don't know them anymore and they don't know me. But those people that I did hang out with at the time, yeah, everybody smoked. And I don't know if that's more a function of like when I was in high school, because when I was in high school and then when I graduated, I knew a lot of people who smoked cigarettes. In college, that was kind of a big thing. Instead of smoking cigarettes and drinking, eating mushrooms and LSD. That was the big thing in college. So I don't know. Like the whole smoking thing, though, is yeah. Smoking is disgusting. I have my mother-in-law died from lung cancer because she smoked a pack a day. It's not worth it. Anybody in the comments who smoke, y'all need to quit, unless it's weed. Sorry.
the yeah, we've lost some very very dear loved ones to lung cancer, and it sucks. I mean,
Yeah,
I think vaping is a little better marginally as far as less
marginally. Yeah,
taxing on your lungs or whatever, but um
popcorn lungs, popcorn
oh
lungs.
right, there's different a whole there's a uh
Oh,
whole new thing that still haven't figured out yet that
right.
has been
You,
caused.
you know, anything with nicotine that is not pure nicotine, because as far as I know, pure nicotine is okay in small doses. Like I think it's lethal, of course, in larger doses. But the stuff that they pack into the cigarettes, of course, is what's addicting.
Oh yeah, because they want you to
So
buy more.
right, right. Um, but yeah, I don't know. And like I have Back to trans world. I like. I would like to have a lot more queer friends, like in real life. And I'm gonna be totally honest because some of the people here don't know, but like it's kind of strange for me because I meet queer people and then I can't connect, you know? It's hard to connect because people think that, oh, we're all queer, we're all trans, you know, we've got to have something in common. Yet we have being trans in common. And then outside
A
of that,
you have
who
oppression
knows?
in
Yeah,
common.
who knows? Like, who knows? And you know, like I don't play World of Warcraft. I've never played that shit. I don't collect comic books. You know, I don't do like comic cards and excuse me. While I do go to Dragon Con, I don't cosplay or anything like that. I don't LARP. You know, any of the traditional things. I don't code. I am not a computer scientist. You know, all the things that you think of when you think of traditional trans women or trans people, and these are all stereotypes, but like a lot of these happen. You know,
I
I
don't
am
think
not part of
any
it.
of those things, honestly. I
What's
think of
that?
a trans person as like a I don't associate like a niche of hobbies with a trans person because
Okay,
I,
so
and
there's this joke. When a trans woman starts her transition, it is like it's about pickles. And ask your trans daughter about pickles. I bet you she will know of what I'm talking about, but I'll tell you just in case. You know, the joke is that when a trans woman is transitioning, she then needs someone to help her open the pickle jar. Because, you know, as we start taking estrogen, you know, our body naturally weakens, like our strength naturally weakens. So, you know, and it's true because I had to have egg do shit for me that I could normally do, you know, I
okay,
not normally, but I used to be able to do. So egg had to, and so the pickle jar is one of them. Also eating pickles, like, you know, eating a lot of pickles because if you're on spironolactone, it is a diuretic and like salty type stuff, like
huh?
pickles. Yeah, pickles, and the sharks from IKEA.
The
Um,
what?
Sharks from IKEA. You know the store IKEA.
Oh, I know the
I
store. I don't know sharks from IKEA.
Okay, they're called blowhigh or blowhigh. It's BLAJHAH, I think it's Dutch or Denmark, Danish.
Yeah.
And it's like blowhigh. But they're big. They're blue and white sharks that kind of the trans community kind of adopted. So if you want to get your trans daughter a gift, she will probably know about these. You
Okay.
know, yeah, I am 100% sure she's going to know about this one. Well, depends on her age, but if she's old enough, she will know about this. But yeah, just look up Blowhigh or Sharks IKEA, and you'll
Okay.
see it.
I'll check
Um,
it out.
uh, but yeah, yeah, I am once again very happy that I'm able to talk to you. I'm very happy that to see someone who cares enough for their daughter to work this hard. You know, like I didn't have that, and you
I'm
know that's
sorry that you
yeah,
didn't.
that's
I
yeah.
I'm your dad now. If you want a dad.
Well, you know, what's funny is my parents are finally coming around. Like my dad used my name, my you know, not OnyxRose because that's my middle name, but he used my government name for the first time when he turned 80. He is
Oh,
now 83. So yeah,
okay.
you know, I have been out since 2015. I changed my name in 2019, and he used my name for the first time last year. So he, well, he's 83 now, so 2 years, 3 years ago. He is, you know, I don't know. We do not have a good relationship, but we're mending it. You know, we're trying to get back to some sort of a relationship. It doesn't help that I have bipolar disorder, and there are things that I don't tell them because I don't want them to see those parts of me. They would absolutely. I'm the black sheep of the family. They would
Mm.
like if they saw the way I acted. They would absolutely lose their shit. Not really being used to seeing someone like me so close to the family. But that's okay. Yeah, my family is my family, but they're only my blood family. My chosen family is my chosen family.
Isn't
Uh,
that real? That you,
well,
especially the past 2 years, just seeing the shit show that this world has been. It's like, look, you're connected by blood, but you don't have to hang out with them. You don't. You don't.
no,
You don't have to listen to them. Like,
no,
go and find your people, your
yeah,
people,
no,
people, the people. Like, one of the things that here's a tough one for you.
okay,
What can you name a positive thing that has come out of the Trump 2.0?
yes, I can actually. Um,
I know what it is.
it's Yeah. Okay. Well, it's bringing trans people together. It's bringing queer people together. It's a rallying cry. It's bringing not just trans and queer people together. It's bringing all marginalized communities together, and it's bringing everybody who's on the outskirts of those marginalized communities in, so that they understand what's going on. So now hopefully everybody is working. At least the majority of the country is working on the same page.
It's the people, the people,
Yes,
the people.
the
So
people.
yeah, where I was going with that was like, some of the people I've met through the resistance efforts. I've gone to DC with these folks and I see them and I hug them and we have the most amazing time, and it's just wonderful. These are people I don't know that I would have ever encountered
Right,
if it had not been for the travesty that is taking place right now in fascist America. But
right.
I am so especially grateful for the communities. Like, I've some of the work I'm doing right now is and I encourage anybody who's watching this, make a safety plan.
Yes,
Not have a firearm. You may not be comfortable with firearms, but you need to have a safety plan. You can message me on the side and I can get into much greater detail. I won't bog it down here, or risk getting into taboos here. But so I've been working on, safety plans, helping other people that I've been meeting make sure that they're safe and have them develop safety plans. One of the first activists I ended up meeting, her ex-husband was stalking and harassing her and her kids, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm scared all the time." I'm like, "What do I do?" I'm like, "Firearms."
yeah,
Let's go to the range, and we got her connected with somebody that, another new person that I'd met that was
right.
basically a an instructor in that. And so now all of that anxiety and all of that fear, and again, look at me. I'm not afraid of that kind of thing. But women, especially black women, marginalized people, they have the fear. It's very real to them all the time. But she was able to taper off some of that anxiety because now she has a safety plan, right?
Right.
She has and she and her kids practiced. They have words that they use. They have places that they go. They have meetup locations that they're planning to meet up to. So working on safety plans and building safety networks, right? So I'm connected with so many different people nationwide. Like, if like, seriously, if something happened on my street right now, like, you know I just head out and I go to Ohio I mean, Ohio is not a great place to go to per
No,
se.
it's not.
But I have a lot of people. I have a lot of connections in Ohio. I could
Yeah.
go. I could go to Florida. There's a farm in Florida I could go to. There is a farm in North Carolina that I can go to. So
Nice.
part of what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to encourage other people to do, is to build that community. Right, what we're doing right now. I'm meeting you for the first time, and I'm. This has been so lovely. I
Yeah. Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed this whole thing, and
Yeah.
you and me, we're buds now, and maybe we'll go
Right.
coffee or something at some point. But
Yeah. Yeah.
build and
Absolutely.
expand those safety networks, because I don't think anybody can truly predict what is coming for us next. But if you have a safety plan and if you have these safety networks, um, you're going to be the one surviving, and you're going to be the one that people are going to look up to, and they're going to be like, I don't know what to do, and you
Have you
be there, and you can say, this way, you come with me because I have a safety plan, I have a safety network, and we're gonna take care of community, and we're going to build all this back.
have you heard of Dr. G? Dr. G Pat? Your weirdo friend?
No, I don't think so. I'll have to look.
Okay. Yeah, look up your weirdo friend. They are an organizer.
Oh, oh, no, no, no. Your weirdo friend, I think, share
Yeah.
connection on Substack here. I recently was interacting with your weirdo friend. I will look more
Okay.
into your weirdo friend. There,
They are a heavy duty organizer. Yes, very much so. Very powerful. They know what they're talking about and they know how to organize. So that may be something that you'd like to check out.
yes,
Their
I,
work is amazing.
yeah. So I'm a member of something called OBS, which is the Armed Insurgency. It's run
Okay.
by this what's his name's Rig. He goes by Overlord. He's a black dude. He's always wearing his uniform. He's pretty amazing. I think I can't remember his channels or whatever. I'm a part of that group. I'm a part of Sons of Liberty. Sons of Liberty is really pretty amazing.
Okay. So wait, let me ask you this really quickly. Is there a difference between the Sons of Liberty and the true Sons of Liberty? Because I got attacked by one of those groups. And well,
Really,
yes. And I think it's the true Sons of Liberty.
with words or attacked, like assaulted.
Yeah, racism, like on
Oh,
Substack. Yeah, like transphobic racism, transphobia and racism. Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I do know. So the original, and what Onyx is talking about here is the original Sons of Liberty were the in the history of our country and our founding fathers and all that. They were the ones who actually dumped the tea, I believe, in
Yeah.
Boston.
Yeah.
Um,
Like Ben Franklin was a part. Yeah.
so the group I'm a part of is not of the same lineage. It is actually
Okay.
somebody who is a veteran and is very well rounded, I think, in history, and decided, hey, I've got a bunch of other people that are, remember your oath kind of minded and veterans. And so it's a new chapter, but the name is referencing the old Sons of Liberty. It is not the same, not same, but I can tell
Right.
that the group I'm a part of, I would be surprised if they were the one, if they were being racist or attacking.
Well, like I said, it could have been there was a group called the True Sons of Liberty.
Oh, huh.
Uh,
I hadn't heard of them. Well,
well,
the Sons of Liberty, they're fairly well organized. They have basically regional and state leadership.
right. Okay.
So like it's very, like, no matter where you are, there might be a few Sons of Liberty folks involved, and they
Nice.
largely, by and large, they just put out like a lot of meme fare kind of stuff. Um,
Oh yeah,
there are
I'm
a
a
lot of
shit poster
social
for
platforms.
sure.
But if you're interested and you're looking for that community and you want to say, hey, I'd really like to be a part of the family and, have someone's back or have one of them have my back, there is a vetting process that we do for that kind of thing. So, um, man, get connected with these communities because that's the community that's going to save us.
I agree. I'm not connected in terms of cities. I do well, yeah, actually I am. But that so and this takes after your weirdo friend because I was actually talking to them about this, not realizing that this is something that they had written extensively about and had put into motion already. I was just brainstorming about how I do things. And how I do things is on a more singular level. I talk to one
One to one.
person,
Yeah.
yeah, one, build a relationship, go on to the next person, build the relationship, keep on building the relationships and attaching those relationships to each other. So that, it's almost like a network in and of itself. When one person goes down, hopefully the other person is there to kind of pick them up. That's kind of the idea. Now, it's not, of course, it is for a couple people international, so I do have international contacts, but it is not spread across the United States yet. It is more localized. Like, the people in my apartment complex, in my pod, we know each other. We've got
Mhm.
each other's back. We know each other's cars. We know that when a different car comes in, we're all like, okay, what the
Hey,
fuck?
yeah.
Yeah. So, we watch out for each other, and that's the beginning of it. Now, I can't have guns because I have bipolar disorder, and that just would not be smart for me. But I do have swords, and I do have daggers. So, that's what I'll be using.
I like swords and daggers. That's cool.
No,
No, just yeah, you keeping yourself safe is priority number one for sure. Oh, well, like I
right,
said, some people are comfortable with it and some people aren't. Um,
right. But I think like building a go bag, always be ready to go, go, go. And, especially, so I don't know how you feel about this, but your trans daughter, so in this day and age, do you feel compelled to leave the States or do you feel compelled to stay and fight? And how does your daughter feel about this more than that?
holy shit, you just cut into. Um, so I guess it was April or May of 2025. We started looking at things and started. We made basically a stay plan and a
Okay.
go plan.
Okay.
We still have both of those plans. Um, it's not easy for us because we do have 4 kids. It's a big uproot, right? 1 kid, that's a single uproot. 4 kids, that's something entirely more. Um,
Right.
we so we looked at we have looked at and are continuing to look at options for Canada because
Okay.
um I'm gonna be real, shit comes down, like I'm out.
Yeah. Oh,
My
yeah.
my people are more important than this country.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100. Yeah,
It's
I
expensive.
will.
That's the problem. The
It's
expense.
expensive. Yeah,
Also, emigrating with an E that's going out
right.
is tricky. It's
Yes.
it's tricky, like the song. uh, the I'll say that we still have those plans, and some of the plans involve. My wife and I had a real tender moment at one point. She was having a hard time, and we had watched the Handmaid's Tale, and if you're familiar with the Handmaid's Tale, there are
Some
some of
scary stuff.
some of the scenes, like early on, it's like, things are ramping up. Congress isn't doing their jobs. Hey, look, Congress isn't doing their jobs now. And, all of these things changing so rapidly. And in that program and in the book, there is such a taking for granted the liberties that we have. And,
Right.
that June Osborne was not watching the signals and was not paying attention, right? For June Osborne, the wake up call was when suddenly her bank account was closed, and then she had to like figure out a workaround. And then at that point, it was only really just a pain in the ass in that
Right.
story. And my wife's like, are we going to be stuck? And I said to my wife, I'm like, in that show, June totally got caught with her pants down. Like she wasn't paying attention. She didn't know what was up. I say, our advantage is that our eyes are clear and
Right.
wide open. We're watching the horizon. We see the authoritarianism coming in. And I told her, I was like, if it gets to the day when we have to all load up in the van and we just drive for Niagara Falls, we'll do it. We'll do it in a
Right.
heartbeat. And because our family is what's most important. Now, of course, doing that, it does present a lot of legal challenges. You're transferring your wealth. If you have a house, you have bank accounts and all that shit. Like,
Right.
you can figure that some of that stuff out on the back side of things, especially if people aren't safe. And um, our worst case plan is we drive to Canada. We say, oh yeah, we're here vacationing at the actual at the gate where we flash our passports. And oh, get your passports, please get
Yeah.
your passports.
Everybody get your
Get your real
passports.
ID and get your passports.
Right.
Uh, and I have a question for you, Onyx, on that when we come back.
Okay.
Go to the Canadian border. Say, oh yeah, we're going to spend 3 weeks here and vacationing, and say, oh, oops, we lied. Fascist America, we want to seek refuge, right? We're refugees. Like that's the loose fast go plan. Um,
Right. Right.
but I don't, I'm a normal guy. I don't have like, offshore bank accounts and millions of dollars that I can just ply people and go to other countries. Like I'm not a man of means. So
Yeah. Neither am I, except for
we,
I'm not a man. But yeah,
well, you're
I
not a
don't
woman,
have means. I'm not a man or a woman, but I don't have means. So,
but I meant you're not a woman of means. We
yeah.
are not people of means. So,
Right.
my plight is to stay here and fight, I guess. Right. I don't have a choice.
So,
I have to fight.
I feel like that's ours, but egg doesn't want to leave. I I don't want to leave. Our family is here, um, but I don't want to die either. Like it's as simple as that. I don't want to die. That doesn't mean I want to necessarily be a refugee for the rest of my life either. Um,
Yeah. No. I that would be something, right? Live a life of
it's
freedom and privilege, and suddenly be
right.
on
So
the
that's
on the opposite.
that's the thing that I think about, is that I know people who are refugees from Uganda and Kenya, and they live in refugee camps, and I see the way they have to live, and it's hard. It's not even like for people in the United States, it's not livable, at least for most people in the United States. I won't say every person, but for most people in the United States, it's not something that we would consider livable. Um,
I think the trick is that we as humans are very adaptive.
I would
You
hope. So. Yeah.
think
Well, yes,
good
yes,
today, but tomorrow when you're in it,
right.
you do what you have to do, kind of thing.
Now you're right, and that goes to staying and fighting too. I think
Yeah.
that. I think that in the end, true freedom is in staying and fighting. That is true freedom, because you're either going to die or you're going to live, but you're not going to live by their rules.
That's
You're not going to make them run
I
you
am.
out.
People have, through social media and stuff like that, they're like, "You're amazing and you're so inspirational," and I'm like, "Bro,
Just a person.
just
Just a
I'm
person.
just trying to meet the moment." And
Right.
the other thing I'll tell people is, under fascism, I'm already dead.
Yeah. That's a
So,
good
so
saying.
under fascism, I'm already dead. Go ahead and put me in the ground. So now, when I am out and I am loud and I am taking risks, like, it doesn't matter because I'm already dead. My family
Right.
is already dead. I've already mourned what has happened to the nation. So, and of course, my wife doesn't feel the same way, and my family doesn't feel the same way. They're like, "Chris, you got to quit being a Antifa loud jackass because we need you." And I I look at it this way: they're looking for the immediate need, comfort, and support, and
Right.
I look at it from a long-term comfort and support, right? Because
Yes.
if I'm not loud and if I'm not doing my damnedest to help wake everybody else up, there isn't, like, it's going to be ashes, and my family won't survive in ashes. So,
This is how I feel about trans people, and I may not have anything in common with a trans person or a queer person for that matter, and queer across the spectrum. Like any kind of queer person, queer of any stripe, we may not have anything in common except for the fact that we're queer. But that doesn't matter. What matters is I stick up for them. What matters is I show up so that they can see that there is someone who's going to show up, and someone who will continually show up and take up space, and do it with a smile, and do it with a cute dress on, and say fuck
Chris,
y'all, continuously. Yeah.
I think you're awesome. Um,
What's that?
your hair, I love your
Oh,
dress.
thank you,
They're very
Box. Yeah.
well. So I was going to ask you when we were talking about that, and I know you were saying you sometimes felt an awkwardness or not being able to find common ground with other queer or trans people. What are
Yeah.
what you said? I don't do this, I don't do that, I don't do the other.
Well,
Sidetrack, but what things do you, what does, like, drives your interest?
so there are a few things. I like being online, so I work online quite a bit. I like writing. I like poetry. So anybody and I like art. So anybody who's an artist, like I really am attracted to artists. I'm really attracted to writers. Um, there are quite a few writers in this group that I am attracted to. Um, but
Art.
yeah,
I
really.
think one of the first things in one of the lives I saw you on, you were reading poetry. I think I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm a big fan of poetry, and I call myself the bloody awful poet because I am not the greatest poet in the world, but I still love poetry. And it's poetry, it's music. I vibe over music. Like that is a big thing. I am neurodivergent, and so I stem a lot. These things. I have anxieties. But the music, and it's in the chaos, so I surround myself with noise, because when surrounding myself with noise, I can calm down. And so I also like people who are used to noise. And that would mean like a radio, like music streaming, as well as watching a live and having a conversation, all of that going on at once. It's able for me to focus my energy. And I need people who are like that. Now, Egg is an introvert, and so and she's also autistic, so she needs her space. She needs time to be alone. I am what would be considered an ambivert or ADHD. So same type of thing, just about. I think that I get along well with people who are artists and writers. I get along well with people I can have deep conversations with. So, not necessarily about, like, I have shows that I like to watch, that's fine. But I want to know your soul. I want to know about you. I don't want to, yeah, I don't want to know what kind of tea you like. Yeah, I want to know that too. But I want to know what makes you tick. And I want like 2 hour intense conversations. I want like a series of those. And then I feel like I get to know you. I want to know what kind of music you like. And that drives me too, because getting to know what kind of music people like allows me to look into how they think. By nature, I can feel the shift in rooms when people walk in, the energies. So that's what, like, I do. I like to get a read on people through certain cues, and like hanging out with people. So hanging out with people, going back to the question, hanging out with people is kind of a double-edged sword, because if I pick up on negative energy, then it's like
Oh, okay. Yeah,
yeah.
you're an empath, so you
Yes, okay, you caught that. Yes. Yes. So yeah, that's the reason why I don't do crowds anymore. Like, I don't go out a lot. That is, and that is also the reason why, I feel like I can't really get a grip in the community at large, because it's about a, a, a lot of the community is about going out to bars and hanging out at bars, and it doesn't have to be drinking. But I'm not in the bar scene anymore. I'm not in the club scene anymore. The spaces that trans people meet in, I'm usually not in those spaces. And also, since I don't drive, so in terms of hanging, they're just like, it's like, I don't know. It feels like different stuff. I love music though, so people who love music, I get down with immediately. Um,
favorite bands.
Favorite. Oh my God, that's so hard.
Oh, go
Right,
get it out.
right now, I'm listening to Ethel Cain, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick
Let's see,
Lamar
Black.
is amazing. Like
Yeah.
I was introduced to his work through the Super Bowl show,
Oh
and
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, I probably need to hear more of his stuff.
Go through his back catalog. You'll be surprised. Yeah, his back catalog is amazing. As a matter of fact, his album "Good Kid, Mad City" uh, has been on the top 20 Billboard for something like, not gonna lie, 3 years in a row,
Oh,
4 years, yeah, top 50. It may be 4 or 5 years now. But Ethel Cain, J. Cole is my big listen to right now. Black Star Kids. I'm scrolling down my list. Oh, Florence and the Machine.
I love Florence and the Machine.
Yeah.
That's good.
Um, let's see, Taylor Swift. So I'm a big Taylor Swift fan, and nobody in this chat better not say anything bad about T Swizzy. Yeah. So I am a Taylor Swift fan. We went to see
Swifty,
her. Huh?
Swifty, Swifty.
Yes, I am a Swifty. And we saw her, like, me and my family,
Oh
me and my
shit! Did you go
girls.
to Eris?
What's that?
The Eris tour? Did you see that?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
the movie. We weren't. We didn't get to actually go to a concert,
Oh my God,
but the movie incredible.
I had three people trying to get tickets. Like, we were like, boom, 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 and I'm the one who got the tickets. So I bought 7 tickets. Yeah. Wait. So one, two, three, four. Let's see. 2 kids, 3 adults, 5 tickets. three kids, two kids, three adults. And the kids, it was their first ever concert.
Wow.
So we got to see Taylor Swift. Yeah. And when I
Wow.
say amazing, she was amazing. Played 3 hours, high energy, hit every, just like eras. So she hit every era. And my favorite era is Folklore and Evermore. I love that era. And I love the new Poet album, Poet Anthology, whatever, the newest, not the newest album, but the album before that. So yeah, I'm a Swiftie, hardcore. I like, I like Trey Anastasio. Do you know Fish?
Yeah, I know Fish. I don't know
Okay.
Fish. I know
Do you
of.
know?
I enjoy that music, but I couldn't like name a Fish song.
Okay. Are you a Grateful Dead fan?
I,
No, no,
I appreciate
no.
their music. I used to hate on them. So
Okay.
I fun story. I was at the Mario Lemieux celebrity golf tournament in Pittsburgh. One of the jobs I had early on, I got to travel around a lot, was golf and tennis events. I did the technology for those events. So we would set up
Okay.
scoring network and the handheld, like, radio controlled scoring devices. We were responsible for all of those. At that tournament, I'm driving a golf cart around just checking on some of our devices. And Darius Rucker, who
Yeah.
was
Hootie.
basically showed up for the day with Dan Marino. Dan Marino was in the tournament, but Darius
Okay.
Rucker was like just hanging out, coming along, and like I was in my golf cart, like trying to get to the next place so that I could check on the equipment. He just grabs his bag and just jumps right in my cart. And he's like, "Can I ride with you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I don't get starstruck, but
Right.
I did immediately recognize who he was, and he had a Grateful Dead golf club bag. It was
Okay.
solid white, and he had the dancing bears like go all the way to
Right.
the outside, which was cool. So I was like, "Is he a Grateful Dead fan, huh?" He's like, "Oh yeah,"
Right.
and then we're talking a little bit about music and stuff, and it was cute because it wasn't forced. It was just real people
Right.
talking. And but no, he got out of my golf cart and like played that fairway or whatever, and then got back in the golf cart, and I carted him around because I kept trying
Nice.
to get around the golf course to the back side of it or whatever. But no, that was neat. Like
Give
I
me
didn't
some of
like
your
the
music.
Grateful Dead, but I appreciate their music now. Again, I
Yeah.
don't. I'm not very familiar with it, but
Okay.
yeah, I think some of the stuff that they've done is, um, it's not Beatles like landmark, but it is landmark. I think in its own way.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I am not a fan of the Beatles, so let's
I hate
yes, not at all. Not at
I
all.
hate the Beatles,
But you
but
go
I
ahead and tell me what kind of music
recognize
you like.
who do I like?
Yeah, because I
Um,
think we'll probably compare notes here. It's easier for you to tell me who you like.
REM is probably
Okay.
single one go to. That's like the band of my childhood. I went to school in Athens, so
Did you? Do you
yeah.
know Michael Stipe and all of them?
I don't know him.
Okay.
I have plenty of people who have like brushed shoulders with him and have passed him. And that was common while I was going to school. Like, I mean, it was the strangest thing. He'd have like a big white pail, like, like a painting bucket kind of pail. He
Right.
would walk around and carry his shit around like in that, like almost like a purse. But I
Right.
mean, just like, he's very utilitarian. And I mean, it was neat to hear stories about him and the band from the city because again it was another just like very holistic. It's like, hey man, I'm just a person. Like, don't
Yeah.
get my
No.
shit. Just
No.
I'm doing my thing. He had a restaurant. I think he owned the Grit in Athens, Georgia. That my sister in law was a big fan of that restaurant and maybe has a couple of stories, but no, I enjoy a lot of different kinds of music.
So real
Mostly
quick,
with
I
the
saw REM in 1980 shit, 1987, 1986. I saw REM. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, nice. Well, what
Or
I
the
was going to
Green.
say, I like a lot of different kinds of music, with the exception of country music. Country music is probably the one kind of music that I just like. Like if I had to pick a genre of music that you could just do away with in a heartbeat, I mean, I would miss some country stuff for sure, because there is some country stuff that I think is really, powerful and really good. There is some country that I like, but overall as a niche, it's not my, like, classical music I enjoy, orchestral.
Here's my here's my take on country. There's it's up to a point that you can throw the fucking whole rest of it away. And that is up to the point where country became country pop. And when it became country pop, that is where phew, now the old school country where it was not about patriotism, well, it was about patriotism, but it was more outlaw country, like outlaws. It wasn't about my
Outlaw.
God and my it wasn't about my God and my gun and my truck, and my dog. That it wasn't that kind of shit. It was more, like it was. I don't know. People. One thing people don't know is that Johnny Cash, before he married June, had a black wife. It's just like people don't know this kind of stuff. Like I don't know, and that goes on just country stuff. But I do like country, and the reason I like country is because my mother likes country. And when I was growing up and we went on vacation, that's all she would listen to. And so
uh,
I
yeah, I was
I
the
know,
opposite.
like,
My mom loved oldies. She loved 50s,
yes.
60s shit, and as a result, I hate it, and that's why I don't
Yeah.
like Beatles.
Yeah.
I
I don't like the Beatles because I just think they suck. I think they've ripped off way too much music, and I think that they don't. I just don't like the way they
That's an
sound.
interesting take. I think that
Well,
they did a lot for evolving music, just in culture. Like, they were present, and maybe they did rip off a lot of stuff, but they moved the bar, I think, as far as music went. They did like three or
well, I
four harmony things that were like no one had done that at that point.
I
Vocal.
think they watered down stuff and then sold it to the masses.
Mm, okay. No, I mean, I guess my understanding of them, I appreciate like the impact they had on music culture, but
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
like their shit.
Yeah, yeah, I am not a big. So
Like,
then, what about something like I heard you reference earlier? So you like Beastie Boys?
oh God, Beastie Boys, fucking love them. No, Beastie Boys, Run DMC. There were several rap, like Public Enemy, like back in the 80s, 90s kind of era, that were uh, amazing, tremendous.
So I saw Beastie Boys for their first for License to Ill, um, and Fishbone opened for them.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a crazy show. Um,
More of the bands I think I enjoy are like I would call rock alternative.
okay,
I like
okay.
Essence. Nirvana, Pearl Jam. There's
So I've seen Pearl Jam twice. I didn't get a chance to see Nirvana. I saw Soundgarden twice. But this is all the Lollapalooza shit when it traveled. Remember when it used to
yeah,
travel? So I saw a lot of groups then, and plus in the '90s, shows used to be so cheap. I don't know if people in the group know, like in the chat, know, but in the '90s, shows were cheap. So I got to see like Smashing Pumpkins and just all these bands, 311, and
311.
all.
311. I forget about 311 from time to time, but I've got a buddy. Like, if anytime 311 comes through town, and they have anytime they tour, they almost always stop off here in Atlanta. We try
Yeah,
to do that show. Yeah.
yeah. I saw Jay-Z, I saw Tech Nine on a side stage before he got big. We saw, like, we went to the Austin City Limits tour festival and saw it's a 3-day festival. We saw like ASAP Rocky, Florence the Machine, just so like of Monsters and Men, 21 Pilots, just like the list just keeps on going on and on and on. Foo Fighters,
Foo Fighters
just
that I was going to mention, I just couldn't think of.
and so we saw. I mean, we saw all sorts of groups. Disclosure, Dead Mouse. I mean, like the amount of shows I've seen is just Midnight Oil, Ziggy Marley, Burning Spear. I'm
You know who I
jumping
saw
in.
for my birthday last year was
Oh,
Cake.
who? Cake?
Cake.
Okay, yeah,
Cake is incredible. Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
do. So music I connect with, especially with a lot of people. I like to, I like to see what level people are on in terms of the music I listen to, and that informs me a lot, on how I think people are going to be. I like is, damn it, he's still in here. I like people with beautiful hands who can play instruments. Um, you know um, without giving too much away. Yes.
So
I
for a
I
little
do.
for a little while,
Huh?
a few of my buddies were like, the whole thing happened with like Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and we had like a night a week that we would all hang out together, and we were doing this, stuff on Guitar Hero, and one of the guys was like, "What are we doing with Guitar Hero? We should go and like
Get
Craigslist,
some fun.
get some actual instruments and just fuck around." And we did
Right.
a little bit, and we actually like even like had a couple of covers that we did for a little while.
Nice.
Playing bass guitar, and that's actually my son was like, "I want you to teach me how to play bass, Dad." And I'm like, "You see, I read tabs, like I'm not really good with that. Like I can't
Right
teach you to play
here
bass. You're gonna have to figure." Oh,
is a bass guitar mocking me. It has been mocking me in this corner for 3 years, and will continue to mock me because I can't figure out how to play it. Like people
oh
say the
no,
bass is pretty intuitive. It is not intuitive for me. I can play cello, I can play viola, but I cannot play a bass guitar. I can
really?
play, yes, I can play like tuba. I can play baritone, but I cannot play a
Uh,
bass guitar.
hey, did you ever go to any of the Tuba Christmases?
No, I don't even know what those are. Yeah.
Tuba Christmas. So in high school, I played tuba in the marching band,
Which
and
high school did you go to, by the way?
yeah, I can share. It's Meadow Creek High School.
Okay. Okay. I went to Walton. Oh,
Walton. I don't know where Walton is. Meadow Creek is
it's in
uh,
Marietta. Yeah.
not Sugarloaf, but Steve Reynolds Boulevard,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
New Trail. So yeah, I played tuba, and so our band director was like, "You have to go and play Tuba Christmas," and I was like, "What?" And it was basically there's this dude that toured around, and he went to all these different cities, and he would come to Atlanta and summon basically every tuba and baritone to the CNN Center, and then we would play Christmas carols, and it was
Okay.
amazing. It was just like you'd get a book and you'd sight read and you'd practice for a little while, and then we'd go through and practice some of them, and you take the book home with you and you could practice them later, and then come back the next year and play again. It was an incredible experience to hear the Christmas carols played on all of those deep brass instruments,
Right.
played like a hodgepodge, right? People would bring their concert instruments, and there'd even be some sousaphones and shit.
Right.
It's quite a time.
So I lived in Columbus, Georgia when something like this happened. I don't know if I was in Atlanta at that time or my parents took me to Atlanta, but it was the same type of thing
Hmm.
where, it was all tubas and baritones.
Yes.
And we played what I thought we played though was the Olympic opener. Y-
Oh, that's
yeah,
something different then. I don't know.
yeah. And yes, I remember this though. It was, what I remembered was just seeing the glint of light off of the tubas,
The
off
flat
of the
from
brass.
right,
Yes,
all the bells.
and I was just like, man, this is amazing. It, like I just Yeah, there was just this feeling, it was an overwhelming feeling. I get overwhelmed pretty easily. So, and I allow myself to get overwhelmed. I want to be overwhelmed. The moment I lose that being overwhelmed is the moment I lose my humanity. And I don't want to lose my humanity. I want to be able to be overwhelmed. I want to believe in people and I want to believe in the good in people. So without me being able to summon my emotions, I'm just cold and dead.
Heard. That's that's
So
that's really cool. So was you say you played tuba? Was that your first instrument, or what
it
was your?
was, yeah, it was. So I wanted to play saxophone, but my music teacher was like, "No, we need a tuba player," and I was like, "Well, I don't really want to play." And she was like, "Well, why don't you play?" And so I started playing. And I was, of course,
That
my parents were
like that seems like the story of every music teacher ever.
right,
It was just
right, because nobody wants to
yeah,
play tuba.
we're putting you into this, and we don't care what you want. It's just
Right.
play.
Right. So, I ended up playing tuba. I was first chair for like pretty much all of my until I got to Atlanta. And then I was like, you know what? I am not marching because at that point I didn't want to march anymore. I just wanted to play concert. And they wouldn't let me. So I was like, okay, I'm done. And unfortunately for me, that was the worst decision I've made in terms of my music. Um, you
Oh,
know, I should have continued because I was pretty decent. Not gonna say I was the best because I wasn't, but I
but
was decent enough.
you play viola, violin, and cello.
Not violin,
Oh,
viola, and cello. Yeah,
viola.
which is kind of strange. Yeah, I don't play violin. No.
See, those are the most intimidating instruments to me. That
Um,
they are stringed instruments, which I think it really does take like a special person or a knack to be able to pick up on that. But then to see like those instruments without like the fret markings, I'm like,
right,
how do you like that's so
right.
that's intimidating. I don't.
Well, I had to learn using the tape, and I started out using, yeah, yeah. And I started out using the Suzuki method and then I got a teacher. So, no, like because I started off trying to do it myself and I was like really quickly, like, this is not going to work. So,
Well, I
no.
think you and me could probably sit and hang out and have a vape or have a beer, have an IPA, and talk about music until the cows.
Yes.
My wife
Yes.
played. She took piano lessons as a girl, and um, that she had the opportunity to move her childhood piano to our house. So we did that.
Okay.
She's actually now taking piano lessons with somebody we met in New York City. Really, somebody who performs at Marie's Crisis, which is in the West Village in New York City.
Okay.
If Onyx, trust me, if you go to New York City, you
Right.
go to Marie's Crisis because it is a gay bar that pretends to be a show bar, like
Okay.
a show tunes bar. They have a piano
Right.
and they just play basically show tunes on the piano, and everybody drinks and sings and is gay together. It's amazing.
Awesome. That's like in Atlanta there used to be, do you remember the I don't know if you were in Atlanta proper, but they had the dueling piano bars
I think
where
I
they
remember
would have
hearing about that, but I don't know.
yeah.
I never saw it. No.
Okay, so there were two pianos and they were facing like this, and tables all around, and you could drink and like you could shout out names of songs, and they would play them. And like it was popular for weddings and bachelorette parties and bachelor parties, things like that. Um, but yeah, that was a while ago, in the mid '90s. Um, but yeah, like, do you remember Backstreet and Club Anytime? Were you in Atlanta during this time
I
of
remember
Backstreet?
Backstreet. I don't know if
Okay,
I ever actually. I may have gone there once. I
okay.
remember everybody talking about that all the time, though.
Backstreet was my jam. That was my home away from home. Well, Nomenclature and Backstreet and Tongue and Groove. Like like if anybody in here, Brandon, anybody who's in the publication and the Queer Stories publications might hear Wendy talk about Tongue and Groove. Tongue and Groove is an amazing club. I actually went there for a couple of New Year's Eve celebrations. Um,
Ooh.
yeah. It was a fun club. Nomenclature was a fun club, and then but my home base was Backstreet, and Backstreet was a club that I would go to at 10 o'clock p.m. and leave at 10 o'clock a.m. People would be going to work, and I'd be stumbling out like, "What the fuck?" What did I do tonight? And that's usually what ended up happening. Like I'd be like, okay, so what did I do on this dance floor? Like who was I doing it with? And these are things that it's kind of funny because these are just things that they're a lot of things I have vague memories of. Like okay, maybe I was doing a little bit of this. But I was going. That was at a time where I was definitely exploring my sexuality. So there was a lot of me going places by myself. This was before I met Egg. So she was not in the picture. And I did a lot of, a lot of self exploration. It was a fun time, but, also kind of wild.
I spent a little bit of time at Masquerade from time to time.
Yes, yes. So I saw Belly in heaven, and I saw a lot of bands in heaven. Not a lot of bands in hell. Um,
Masquerade's still kicking,
it
even
is, but it's
even
in a different place.
onto stuff there from time to time.
It's not in the mill anymore. They closed down the old mill that the old Masquerade was in, and on North and Ponce. Was it North and Ponce? I think it was North and Ponce or North and 10th. I think. And they closed that down and moved it over to underground, which is where it is now. But I haven't been. I've been once as when it was in underground. I've only been once, and it's a different vibe, but it's still kind of cool. Um,
Yeah,
I live down the street from the Braves Stadium, so if you know where that is, I live down the street from there.
I
Um,
do. I know where that is.
oh, wow.
Well, listen, this is Onyx. This has
Yeah,
been great.
we're at
We've
2 hours and 15 minutes.
been talking for forever. I think I'm gonna probably need to wrap, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll call this a day. A day. It was definitely fun talking to you and getting to know you,
this
Chris.
has been so wonderful. Yeah, no, I
Uh,
same. I think you and I probably have plenty more to talk about when
of
we.
course. Of course.
But I'll say again, thank you for what you do. Thank you for being out and being loud, and just know that I know sometimes things seem grim, and you look around and you don't feel safe, but there are a lot of people like me that have got your back. So
Well, thank you. You're gonna
yeah,
make me cry, so I'm trying not to. But no, thank you for being the
I
superstar dad you are.
I've
For
been terrible, all chat guests. I have not been able to witness what you all have commented in the chat. So I may
yeah,
try to go back and look at some of that. But thank you all for listening and hanging out with us. This has been really great. I'm glad to have a new connection in the trans community. And of course,
yeah.
you gave me the True Selves and also Samantha Page. So you've given me some homework to do as well. Uh,
Samantha's actually in the chat, so
oh,
yeah.
oh,
Uh,
Samantha, hi, hi. I'm reason
Samantha Page. If you
I think
want
I
a
follow.
queer, like a queer gay writer, then of course Brandon Elrich. If you don't know him from Brandon is so gay. Brandon Elrich is so gay. BrandonEllrich.
Okay.
But there's a lot of people in here. I could Joe, like everybody in this chat that I know, like writes really good stuff, like really good stuff.
If y'all click and give me a follow, I will come back and I will check all your shit out because I'm terrible.
Represent your page though. Tell them your page.
Oh yeah. So I'm Chris Resists on Substack. Like I shared before, I am an Antifa regional commander. I'm in this fight. I'm fighting with you. I'm fighting for you. I'm fighting for everybody. I'm fighting for America. Fighting for my kids and my wife. Um,
That,
I periodically do lives. I have a dear friend of mine that I do this resistance stuff with that we do a live. Most of the time, it's on Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. You are all welcome to attend. Typically, we're talking about it's usually a news cycle, so it gets a little grim. But the one thing we do always try to do is we try to close on a positive topic. And most of the time, that positive is the people. There's some person that just overwhelms us. That's you were talking about being overwhelmed.
right,
Often
right.
inspired and overwhelmed by the people doing the work right now. But yes, this thank you so much for having me on. This has
You're
been.
welcome.
I write too a little bit. I'm
Okay.
okay, but it's all likely political in nature, so I understand that gets to be a lot for people sometimes. But me,
Right.
dad, I feel like I have to tune in and I have to stay apprised because my family
Makes a lot of sense.
security
Yeah,
is
makes a lot of sense.
responsible for it. So
Oh. So let's wrap this up. Everybody, thank you in the chat for coming. This is OnyxRose. I have a site called OnyxRose.net, which is where I do all my writing. Also, OnyxRose9.substack.com, which is where I do my lives and my notes that I participate in. So come give me a follow on OnyxRose.net because, yeah, y'all want to read my poetry, don't y'all? And I'm going to end this like I end all my lives and all lives I'm on. It's called No Trash. So, no transphobia, no racism, no ableism, no sexism, no homophobia, no Islamophobia, no xenophobia, land back, reparations, no borders. Fuck Trump and
fuck,
fuck ICE.
fuck
All
Trump,
right, y'all.
ICE. If you're ICE and you're watching this, fuck you, buddy. I'm
Yeah.
not going to because you're a heathen inbred and you don't even know what culture is. So I can't even spell Substack. Thank, thank you, Onyx, for having me.
You're
You
welcome.
out there, reach out to me sometime. We'll do this again.
Yes, we will. All right, y'all. Thanks in the chat. Have a great day.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.